Good morning. There, how's that? I don't want to get too close. I have more of that radio face. I don't know. I'm thinking about leaving the beard. Haven't shaved all week. I've been on strike. Charlie, glad you're on here. Nelson here today, or is he out chasing his cows, scolding them? Jan, good morning. Lynette, Miss Amy. That fog has been weird. Yesterday, took Teresa to the doctor's appointment. Continue to pray for her. So not the best of news, I guess. So that ulcer in her stomach is not healing. Going to have to go on some kind of a liquid type of diet, or definitely easy digestible stuff, whatever. But so you pray for her. Newsworthy. What is newsworthy? Oh, BDB, he's in so much trouble. So Joe was okay as long as he was just, eating his green Jello and saying whatever they put in front of him. But I think when Joe started saying that he is going to run for re-election, and Jill comes out and says, "Oh yeah, we're all excited and wanting him to run again," and I think that he messed up, and I think they're going to bury this guy. I do. I think that, lo and behold, all of a sudden they find all of these documents that have been stashed away in offices. Come on, people. The thing is they really do think that the American public is that stupid, and maybe some of them are. You're definitely not very intellectual if you're actually getting your news from CNN and some of those others. But I just think that it's crazy day that I think that they have decided that Joe needs to go. Bye-bye, Joe. And so I think Joe is going to go. I really do. I think that they'll push this on and until they're ready to bring out a candidate, and then they will bring out their candidate and Joe will go. And where's Kamala? I mean, that woman's been, for her loudmouth, she's been exceptionally quiet here lately. So you wonder about that too. But I don't have anything else political. Pray for those in Alabama. Kareth called yesterday morning and said that they were under some severe storm warnings there. And Alabama can they get some vicious storms. Kareth told me that she's been through some terrible storms there, by far bigger than what we've ever dealt with here. And well, anyway, two hours south of there, down where Tom Jordan lives, Tom was one of the guys that came out and preached at the Stand Conference. They had a tornado go right over their church. He had a picture of it in the background, a picture right over the church building. And their church is a storm shelter. So many in the community go there for a storm shelter. And several people were killed in that county. Tom said that they were walking through the timber, looking for bodies. Just a crazy, wicked storm that they had. I think they said in Alabama alone, there were 25 tornadoes yesterday. So, so just crazy weather. And just when you think about it, pray for my daughter and Matt. This was their storm season, so they're really getting thumped. And so just pray for them if you would, and pray for those families that were affected by the deaths of their loved ones over the yesterday too. So, all right, well, all right, Joel headed to Greeley. All right, sounds like fun. John, glad you guys are on here, all of you. Continue to pray for John Scudder. John came down with a big C, and so he's been running a pretty high fever, I think. So just pray for him if you would. Anyway, let's pray for each other, right? So let's keep each other in our thoughts, in our prayers, and let's always keep God's word in our mind too, right? That's how we defeat a lot of those issues going on in our lives. And I find this interesting. I better get into this today. So thanks for your prayers yesterday. It was an interesting drive to Denver in that fog. Roads weren't bad though. I mean, they're, just don't do any, don't jerk the wheel, don't slam on the brakes, none of that stuff, and just run, and run at a safe speed. And so once we got to about Roggen, we got out of the fog. So, and then it rolled in again last night, didn't it? So, but yeah, so just be careful. It's kind of crazy weather right now, and it's good to just stay local, isn't it? So, all right, Genesis 28. First of all, I was reading about Jacob. So Isaac is old now, and Jacob, remember what Jacob's name means. It means supplanter, liar, deceiver, and he definitely lived up to that. Esau represents the flesh. All throughout his life, everything about Esau represented someone who was almost what you could say animalistic. It's kind of the humanistic ideas and philosophies of the day, where if it feels good, then it's got to be okay. If it makes you happy, then we're all for you. You can, hey, you need to, guys, you need to leave your wife for a younger woman. Hey, if it makes you happy, then you just go right on, because it's all about being happy. And that's a humanistic philosophy. It's a carnal based, fleshly idea, and there's nothing biblical about that type of a philosophy. So, and Esau represented that in everything. If he wanted it, he got it. If he was willing to give up anything spiritual to get what he wanted in the flesh. He didn't care about pleasing his mom and his dad with the wives that he had. And as a matter of fact, he took a wife of Ishmael, a daughter of Ishmael that was in just total rebellion of God's promises, and we're still paying the price for that. But that's what Esau represented. Well, Jacob didn't represent anything any better. He was deceitful, and he was a liar, and he just went around. Esau just got his by force, whatever it was, but Jacob got what he wanted by lying and deceiving, right? And so he's has crossed Esau for the last time, and Esau says, as soon as Isaac dies, I'm killing him. And Isaac knows that, Rebekah knows that, and so they ship Jacob off, and on his way into the land to see Laban, who Rebekah's brother, and there he's going to go. And while he's on there, then it tells us that Jacob's ladder, remember, and he sees a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven, and behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. And so he has this vision, and this is what it shows us. There has been no heart change in Jacob, even after seeing this vision and the promise that God gives him that he is going to bless him and make him a great nation. And this is the same promise. It's still part of that Abrahamic covenant that he had made with Abraham, and now he's going to fulfill it through Jacob. And Jacob will be the father of those sons that become the 12 nations. And so we'll see that later. But this is the thing. After this vision, this is what Jacob says. And Jacob vowed a vow saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my Father's house in peace. Then shall the Lord be my God. And this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be God's house, and of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the tenth unto thee. So, yeah, leaving your wife is a dumb idea, isn't it? Well, and here we see that Jacob didn't have any better ideas either. And so here he makes a covenant that God has made, and God holds true to his word. And the promises that he gives to us, he will fulfill those, and by faith we need to trust him with that. Jacob didn't trust him. He said, well, if God will do these things, then I will do these things. Well, it doesn't work that way. God isn't going to make deals with you. God doesn't do that kind of thing. And so don't expect God to fall into that. All that is tempting God, I believe. And so don't go making those kinds of deals. Just get your heart right with God and trust him and walk with him, and know that what God says will do, he will do. He will do that. Okay? And then so then I read that, and that was just a thought that I had there in Genesis. And then I was in the Psalms today, and I read Psalm 11. I want to read this. In the Lord put I my trust. How say ye to my soul, flee as a bird to your mountain? For lo, the wicked bend their bow. They make ready their arrow upon the string, that they may privily shoot at the upright in heart. Then he makes a statement. If the foundations be destroyed, what can the righteous do? Now, and we could be there right now, thinking, man, all the foundations have been destroyed, and what is it that the righteous can do? Well, you need to remember some things. Verse 4, the Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyes behold, his eyelids try the children of men. The Lord trieth the righteous, but the wicked and him that loveth violence, his soul hateth. Look, nothing changes. At the time when David wrote this, God hated the wicked, and he still does today. And upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone, and a horrible tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup. For the righteous Lord loveth righteousness. His countenance doth behold the upright. I mean, this is God. God still has things under control. God will take care of those who walk righteously with him. I read this also in Psalm 82. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods with a little g, okay? This is talking about political leaders, all right? You'll see this in the context. So here he standeth in the congregation of those who are supposed to be leading the institution that God ordained in the government. He's ordained 3 institutions. He ordained the family, he ordained the government, he ordained the church. And so those are God's ordained institutions. And all of them are to follow God and glorify God in everything that they're doing. And the government is actually supposed to administer the righteous governing and the righteous wrath of God. When a government doesn't do that, then they're not biblical, and they're not going to be God blessed. And so here he stands in the midst of them, and he asks this question: how long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Defend the poor and fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and needy, deliver the poor and needy, rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. Boy, aren't they? I mean, just like they were there, we see that they're like that again today. Unrighteousness brings confusion. Unrighteousness is a rebellion towards God, and it throws everything out of course. And he said, I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. Look, you are to be doing the will of God, but ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. That's our God, okay? That's the one that we serve, and we need to continue to stand on that and continue to honor God in what we have. And then I read this in Proverbs 3. He says, honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. So here, what do we do in this crazy day? Well, we honor God. And we honor God with everything that we have. We honor God with our talents. We honor God with our time. We honor God with our treasures, time, and talent. We need to honor God with all of that. Nothing ever changes with us. The orders are there and the promises are given. And so we continue to give to God all of those things. And then goes on. He says, my son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. For whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth, even as a father, the son in whom he delighteth. Look, and chastening doesn't always necessarily mean like a spanking, okay? It does mean that, but it also means instruction, discipline, reproof, warning, restraint. I mean, all of those things that God is instructing us, and don't be mad at that, but instead welcome those kinds of things into your life. You know, I was talking to a gentleman yesterday that he and his sons have a company, and so they use several of these guys that are in a halfway house. You know, they're out of jail, they live in this home, but so they're able to work, but they're under a lot of surveillance and that kind of thing, and some of them even work release, come out of jail, right? But it's interesting. I was talking to him, and there was one, and it's been several, but one in particular he was telling me about that came out, and they are witnessing to these guys or talking to them about the Lord, and if they're working for them in that kind of a situation where they're getting out because of their employment, he says, you're going to go to church with us. And this guy chose rather to go back into jail than to work for him. I mean, isn't that amazing how there are those who despise the chastening of the Lord. They despise the instruction of God. They despise the word of God. And what a horrible, horrible thing that must be, to be so proud and so arrogant that you won't even listen to the instruction of the Almighty God who created you. So let's make sure we're not that way. Let's make sure we take the instruction of God and apply it to our lives. And then last thing, and I've been debating on talking about this, but I think I need to. And I don't know if any of these guys will even listen to this, but in Matthew chapter 9, I read this, and my heart was already on this because I found out some news yesterday. It says in Matthew 9:36, but when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Then saith he unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. What I'm going to say is there's probably going to be some, if they watch this, if they're in the ministry, some of them are probably going to get a little bit ticked off, and so be it. You know what? Sometimes we need to hear the truth, whether we like it or not. But there is such a need for laborers. Look, I know of a church in Akron. I know of a church just in this area. There's Akron, there's Craig, there's Hayden now, there's Steamboat now. Those need a church, and those need a pastor. I'm not sure if maybe Eagle needs a pastor, or Rifle. Maybe maybe it was Rifle instead of Eagle, and Eagle also, I think, both of them possibly. I mean, I could call. I know of one up in Nebraska. I mean, there are all kinds of churches that are needing pastors, and I'm going to call a guy out, all right? There was a guy that went to a small mountain church 2 months ago, and he already resigned. You know what I got to say to that? Don't come. Don't come if that's what you're going to do. guys, don't take a church that you are going to go into and a few months later you get your feelings hurt, or somebody ticks you off and makes things a little bit difficult, and you pack up in your whiny crybaby attitude and move on. And these guys that come into these churches and stay 1, 2, or even 3 years, and all you do is wreak havoc in that amount of time, okay? You come in and you come in with all these ideas, and may I tell you something? Reality is never the same as expectations. And so, you know what you need to do? You need to get a little bit of tougher hide and do what it is. If God called you there, then God will keep you there. And you know what? Get off your lazy duff and get a job and work in the community and learn what it means to sweat a little bit and get calluses on your hands and work with these people that are working every day, and instead of harping at them and treating them like, actually you treat your animals better than you treat your people in your church, you know, and you make demands on those people that you would never make on your own self. And so you come in and you do these kinds of things, and you go into a community and you start telling people, I'm the pastor of so-and-so Baptist church, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you get out of the honeymoon period and somebody questions what you're doing, or says something about you, or says something about your wife, or says something about your children, and you get all hurt, and then you get your little feelings hurt, and then you pack up your suitcases and then you say, oh, God has moved me. God hasn't moved you anywhere, you crybaby whiner. You know what? Get a little bit of tougher hide and stay where you are, or don't come in the first place. You know, I'm tired of being nice to these guys and this guy wasn't even a Southerner. I've seen Southerners come in and cry baby and whine and snort and wheeze. They don't have their little camp meetings, and they don't have all their fellowships, and they don't have mama near them, and they don't have daddy near them, and they don't have a Walmart right next door, and they pretty soon they're packing up and leaving. Come on. You know what? You just made it so difficult for the next guy. I'll tell you what, the guy that came here before me, he comes in 2.5 years, you know what he did? He ruined those guys that were deacons here, because those deacons then used it as an excuse to never trust the pastor, and they also decided that they were going to run the church, and so they were going to do everything and take care of everything, and I'm just going to come in and do exactly what they say, or they're going to vote me out and move on. And you know what? It takes somebody that has just a little bit of character, and hey, my character was tested. I'm not going to say that I didn't want to quit, but God didn't move me, and I looked. Boy, did I look. But God didn't move me, and I stayed, and man, am I glad I stayed. You know what? There ought to be more of these guys that are, you look up, and they've been there 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. That gives stability in that church and gives stability in the community. And if you're not going to do that, get out of the ministry. I mean that. Get out of the ministry. Don't be a part of it. Go work some job in the secular world and convince yourself that the world is a much nicer place to be, and the world is a kinder group of people, and that you just convince yourself that you need to be out of the ministry, because if you were called, then you would stay. And it just, you know what? I'm tired of these pansies that are out. And can I say something too about those in the congregation? I've had people come to me. They've accused me of being unbiblical. They've tried to accuse my wife. They said some of these characters said that I beat my wife. Bunch of lying windbags, you know. And they've gone after my kids. And if people in the congregation, if I would have done that to them, they would have packed their bags and left. You know, I get tired of people coming to me and say, well, I don't go to church because I've been hurt. Well, so have I. Probably more times than you guys. You know what? We're not in this for our feelings, and we're not in this for for, I don't know, accolades from people. We're in this for God. And if God placed you in that local church, then stay in that local church and learn to love each other and learn to work things out and fix the problems rather than packing your bags and moving on. That's why marriages go south. That's why children go south. That's why our churches go south. That's why our communities have gone south. That's why our country is in trouble, because nobody has a character to just stay. And so I tell that guy up there in that mountain town, pack your bags, move on, and don't come back. And really any of them. Guy in Steamboat too. You know, super guy, nice guy, pack your bag, don't come back, okay? Because all you're doing is ruining the testimony in that town for that church and for those people that are there. And then you just made it 10 times harder for the next guy. And that next guy is going to have to come in with rhino hide. And you know what? Some of those, really, preacher, you know what you're going to have to do on some of them? You're just going to have to outlive them. You just put up with them. Love them anyway. And just do what God tells you to do. It's time we quit being such crybaby, whiny bags that somebody hurt my feelings, you know? Somebody did something that I didn't like. Somebody didn't do this. Somebody didn't do that. Crybaby. The world does not need any more snowflakes, okay? Morgan County don't need any more snowflakes. Routt County don't need any more snowflakes. Colorado don't need any more snowflakes. America doesn't need any more snowflakes. Get a little bit of hide, get a little bit of toughness, and let's serve God, right? Wherever you go, it's going to be a challenge. Because, first of all, wherever you go, there you are. You're the biggest challenge in your life. Then others are going to be the same, right? So, I don't know. It just, guy in Akron turns tail and runs. We got guy in Hayden turns tail and run. The guy in Craig, that guy honestly, the guy that was in Craig needs to be in the ground. God needs to take him out for what he did there. And the guy in Steamboat, bless his heart, love the guy, but you know what? Suck it up a little bit and stay where God called you until God moves you. And when God moves you, then move. Until then, stay where you're at. So, all right. Well, tick off a bunch of preachers. They'll all unfriend me. Good. So, I do love Platte Valley Baptist Church. And I love Morgan County. Have they always been nice? No. Have they always been kind and considerate? No. Have I always been kind and considerate? Maybe today. Someone said, man, he's not very nice. Well, no, I haven't. But you know what? We suck it up and we love each other and we be what we're supposed to be, right? And I'm not talking about getting rid of some knucklehead that's unbiblical, okay? But anyway, that's for another day. God bless you guys. Oh man, this is Friday. Yep. All right. Be in your place on Sunday, okay? Let's be in our place where we need to be, and let's serve the Lord. Let's love the Lord, love His Word, and love people. And you'll see God bless you as we walk with Him. So hang in there, and if any of you guys that are in the ministry are thinking about quitting, don't. God bless.